Tell me what up, world, and welcome to another episode of Black Nerd Fridays. I'm your host, Neal, and you already know who I got in the building with me. My co-host, my family from family far, wide, unknown, KinkySudz, and of course, you know him, Mr. Refine himself, Mr. Black Bearded Nerd. How y'all feeling this lovely afternoon? On West Coast time in almost
It's evening for me. It's 8 p.m.
on the East Coast time.
It's getting close to his bedtime,
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man. But we about to get into it. You know what we came to talk about. I'm trying to chime in for KinkySudz. I should have hit the private chat, like throw it up. We are going to talk about KinkySudz. Give me the roll call. Give me the paper. Throw the paper.
Oh my bad. Boom.
See you every time it's supposed to cut me off. We're going to talk about
Yes.
Oh man, Invincible. You already know it's crazy. I mean, this show, hands down, all it is a straight. It's a mixture of literally the Justice League and then the last Superman movie with General Zod. Like this is literally just an amalgamation of all of that. I gotta shout out Nightwing, aka Nightwing Duck. That's all I thought about when I saw Nightwing. I was like, this is hilarious. Gotta shout out that here, brother. Yeah, was it Darkwing?
Yeah,
Darkwing. That's what Nightwing. It's Darkwing. Duck. Look at me. Get it right. God damn it, D.
You didn't have your notebook.
I got the notebook.
That's what he got us for. That's what he got us for.
I got it messed up. I was trying to make a pun and didn't do it right. Oh well. But Darkwing, love that Darkwing is a black dude. And didn't really get into the aspect of where he's from, but of course it looked like a gritty Gotham type aspect. But I mean, people are loving Invincible, and really we're here to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, and then also on top of that get the perspective again as nerds to look into a deeper dive of the society and how it's set up. So I'm gonna get it started first with saying favorite character so far from season 1. KinkySudz.
If anybody doesn't say okay. Omni-Man, as much as he was a major, I'm sorry, my hair was coming down. This doesn't want to stay in character. As much as he was just such an evil character to begin with, right? Like he was very one focused, right? But I think, in my opinion, he was just like it is what it is. This is what you get. I'm not changing anything about me. I told you what it is. Sorry, not sorry. I like that about him. I think the other character that I would say would probably have to be, I was really intrigued by the demon character, like the demon detective. That one, to me, I was like, dang, I wish they would have done a little bit more with him. But there were a few characters I felt were just like not even necessary for the story, but I digress on that. I'll wait till we get to the good, or to the bad and the ugly, but I definitely have to say Omni-Man and Demon Detective for sure.
Okay.
We're gonna go to Mr. Refine. Ren, go ahead. Tell us.
My favorite would be Mr. I Need the Sign. Dun, dun, dun. It'd be
Invincible.
Yeah. You like Mark, huh?
I loved Mark. I loved him because he was a guy who stood on his own principles. He stayed himself despite any of the adversity he faced.
Was it stand or beat?
I'm sorry, say it again.
It was a stand or beat on his morals.
A bit of both, because he definitely got some bad things happen to him, but it was all worth it. And each time he came back stronger and stronger. So I loved him. I thought he was, obviously the show is about him, but he is the protagonist. He is the guy. He is interesting too, even with the personal battles he dealt with the friendships and stuff, and even the dating life, which I think adds a little bit more entertainment and depth to him as a character, specifically with Amber. So I like that. I liked it a lot. And again, Invincible is my guy, a.k.a. Mark, a.k.a. Invincible. That's my man on there.
Well, you already know I like to go against the grain at all times.
Yes.
Shout out to everybody who knows I love to go against the grain. My favorite character, hands down, number 1 is going to be Cecil. And then I definitely got to throw it to the one and only who actually creates the costumes, and I'm trying to find them, Mr. Art.
Oh, the tailor.
Mr. Art holding everybody down. Art got skills, but definitely Cecil. And the reason why I mess with Cecil is because throughout the season, everything was about protecting the globe, and it was using all aspects of it. And I know I joked incorrectly about Darkwing, calling him Nightwing, but Darkwing, even though Darkwing was supposed to be the Batman character, I felt more so that Cecil was the Batman character, just because of the pessimism that he had of the people that he felt he could not trust, even though he acted like he trusted the Guardians of the Globe or the Teens. It was still, everybody was a chess piece on the board to make sure for the overarching theme of protecting even though it said the globe, it's really the United States. That's what it was what he was looking at, honestly. But as we always do, we here at Black Nerd Fridays, we are craft beer lovers on top of being nerds of anime, comics, movies, sci-fi. So I'm gonna kick it off with KinkySudz, because she always, and if you don't know who she's cosplay as, I really have to say you're not watching the show. But KinkySudz,
you get what I'm saying?
What are you drinking?
So I'm just gonna say I always like to try and go for themes with everything, because I mean it just makes everything a little bit more interesting. So I'll start off with the one with the lower ABV. It's definitely going to be, I did a picture of this one before, but it's called Elevated Perspectives, and it's from Humble Forager Brewery. This is a triple IPA.
That's right.
And you would think if you say triple that you would think it'd be high in ABV, but it isn't. It's only 8%. So it's like, not too bad. But I picked this one because of the snow, because throughout the show, they kept showing Mount Everest, which is a place that, Mark and his father would go to frequently, when they were doing their training. So I thought it was really interesting to kind of bring that piece in. But then also I went with Abusive Stout, which this is by Dubco Brewery. This one is an Imperial Stout, and it's coming in at 12%. So going with a little bit of a double.
There we go.
Double digits. But I chose this one because when you think about the themes throughout the whole anime of him, Invincible, I thought it was pretty interesting to see how there was this power dynamic, and as we get into it a little bit later, how Omni-Man really had abused his strength. He abused his power that he had, and really abused his relationship that he had with his son and with his wife. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So wanted to talk about that a little bit. But those are my beers.
Ren, what we drinking?
Today I'm going with Scared to Look. This is by Rising Storm Brewery. An Imperial Stout with coffee and maple syrup, and ABV is 9.5. And if you think of the name, you think of the show, like when you experience all the guts and gore on there, they just kind of get right to it. And I think that played into the creator, which is Robert Kirkman. And if you know him, you know The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, etc. So there's they don't let go, or they don't ease up on the guts and all the bad gory stuff that happens, and intestines and brains getting smashed, and they show everything. So this is a perfect example of that beer. Scared to Look at the TV.
I love it.
I do too. I didn't go too many places. Make sure my mic's not echoing. Excuse me. So I had to shout out to Yes We Can Canning Company, who I did an episode with on Beer Talk Now. I'm drinking. The first one is going to be Sneaky AF. Play on Slinky, as you can see the Slinky there if it goes in properly. This is a 10% ABV, alcohol by volume, triple IPA. I'm also drinking a good old Dark Sarcasm Porter, which is from Barrel Brothers in Sonoma County, and this is a 7%. So I'm gonna go high and just taper down low till I get to the good old Coffee State, which is again another Del Cielo beer, and this is only a 5.5, but I like the flavor on it. So I know you already cracked open the beer, so that's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna do the sexy pour in a little bit. Let's jump into the good, and I'm gonna start off with Ren on what all the good notes that you think for Invincible season 1. And then after that, we're going to go to KinkySudz, and I always finish last. So go ahead, Mr. Refine, make it happen.
All right, I'm going to go with the good is for number 1. It was extremely entertaining. It was very watchable. I was able to get more of knowing that they're going to have a season 2 based upon how everything ended, based upon the storyline and the development of the characters. Again, I really, really loved Mark, despite everything that happened with him. He maintained who he was. He stayed strong, and he was able to persevere even with the highest of adversities, including the person you wouldn't expect to go against him. But if you watch the storyline, you understand that there's a kind of a love-hate relationship, as well as a, I think personally, jealousy relationship between him and his father. And, you know, me knowing that and watching all this, that to me was the good part about it. I even liked the relationship aspects that he had with his friends. One of them, I think, kind of was unnecessary, which I think KinkySudz might touch on him. I think William was a little bit unnecessary, but he is important in his own right. His relationship with Amber was great. Even relationship with Eve, she kind of kept him grounded on his aspects with the relationship with Amber, because for a minute I thought that those two were going to kind of link up because she was jealous of the situation with her and Rex, and she was hurt over that. So I really enjoyed the show. I love the action. I love that they were able to show guts and gore, which they don't normally do on animated series too much. Specifically, if it's comic related, they'll kind of keep that out. I think they still strong with that, and I can't wait to get to season 2 and get more into what we're going to talk about later in this episode.
KinkySudz, what was your good moment or aspects to this show?
I think the fact that it was just action-packed from the start, and how they ended the first episode, I was like, man, how you end that, you have to keep that same energy throughout, and they did. I mean, every single episode, you had some new revelation, you had some fight scene, you had, you know, you were introducing new characters or introducing just what Mark could do. But I had to say, I think just the fact that each character stayed true to what they were, whether they were evil, whether they were in the gray area, where they were true, you know, true blue, gotta, you know, stick to my morals type of a person, right? But I think overall, just the fact that each character, they had a little bit of a character arc, but not where it was like it completely changed who they were by the end of the season. So the fact that, you know, they tried to have some type of diversity on the show, which was nice. I didn't think that there was too much filler going on with it. I do think some scenes could have been a little bit shorter, but I think overall it was just really entertaining from beginning to end, and how they're setting up what's going to happen in the second season, I think it's going to be really interesting. And if you've read the comic or the graphic novel that this is based off of, there's so many different things they could bring to the screen. So I'm really excited about that. Really excited.
Agreed. And you know, I got to get my sexy pour on before I get my shout out to Beer Battered Thoughts. You know what I mean? Go check him out, man.
Yeah, he's got a fight coming up.
That's right, the armored combat out here.
Black Knight, as I like to call him.
Don't spill on the computer. Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, you don't want your social media manager being mad at you. Like, what are you doing?
You're gonna be like, you have to finish yourself. You're gonna be like, get your life together.
You don't want that.
You go see her fist come in, like, bah! You're like, oh
yeah.
No, for me,
he's not.
Love it.
I really enjoyed the pace. I mean, it was all set up like, if you've ever seen any superhero origin story or getting powers or anything of that nature, it really kind of stole a little bit of Peter Parker setup from Spider-Man. It also, you're talking about like Blue Beetle, or I think it was Blue Beetle during Justice League, because at that time Blue Beetle wasn't an adult, so they had that little aspect on one of those episodes with Justice League. So I really liked how I was like, okay, I'm getting to it. I understand, bullied, just a kid that's not super like intelligent like you would get from like a Peter Parker or Iron Man or anything like that. But it's really just because he just wants to find his place in the world. He really looks up to his dad and wants to be exactly like his father. He wants to save people and do all these great things that he thinks of his father. And I love how it really goes from there, from him getting his powers to things just not being what he thought they were with his father. And I really enjoy the scenes where Mark and Nolan are Omni-Man and Invincible, they're constantly filling each other out in the sense of like, A, I have to show my son who I really am, and B, I have to look at my father for who he really is. And that to me was a better dynamic because it didn't really harp on it much. It more so in the season 1 showed the almost cold-bloodedness of Nolan, even though it really wasn't cold-blooded. It was almost putting on this fake facade of who he was, even when Mark realizes, not realizes, but when Omni-Man, when Nolan tells his son who he really is and what his species is really about. So that was a great part to me. But it definitely, I mean, the ending was great. I love it. I love how it was no punches pulled, pun intended. And it was just straight. Like as soon as the climax happened, you thought it would just hit a dip and it just kept going higher. And like, that was the fun part about it. Like you have Robot's character in there. Robot's character seems very insignificant in the sense of like this robot in reality is secrets on that. And I don't know how much spoilers we want to give out, but I know everybody has watched. It's been a while, but Robot's character is crazy. I
thought you was going to say that was your favorite person.
Well, Robot, not so
Rudy.
much. Rudy. I mean, well, not so much because Rudy's sense of the world is coming from a perspective of his circumstance, and he's very intelligent. Has the power to control robots. I mean, hence the name Robot. But he's not as experienced with the world outside of the metal shell that he has on.
Yeah.
And I mean, I associate that with the flip side of like Iron Man, whose character when he was created was dealing with alcoholism and really a lot of not feeling up to his father's standards, even though he was touting himself to be very intelligent. So that you don't get that from Rudy because Robot, you don't know much about Robot except Robot being a robot. I think Adam Eve was as far as characters that really, to me, Adam Eve had the best power, hands down. I mean, like being able to change things on a molecular level just from thinking.
That's dope.
I mean, literally creating things out of, and it's not out of thin air. It's literally taking molecules and creating that. I was like, man, this is crazy. Her powers to me were way more intriguing and really didn't even touch on the capabilities.
Underutilized. They were underutilized.
And I understand that they're teens, so that's another aspect of it. It really is. It's again back to that amalgamation of like you got Justice League, you have X-Men. You have all these things that are mixed into the show where you get a bunch of teens and a bunch of adults. And I love that fact because everyone's a superhero, but reality is they still deal with the teenage issues. And then the adults deal with the fact of who they thought Omni-Man was, what Omni-Man really is. And it's like the adults don't even get they don't even get to blink or even think about it because Omni-Man is just like, it's just what it is. He like lays waste to their thoughts. And I love it. It was great.
But think about that at a bare level. Like when you look at him, he is from the planet Viltrum. He's kind of like Superman in this universe. Superman is from Kryptonite. He's from Viltrum. But the difference is the people from that planet didn't have this thought process. They didn't have this superiority complex to add to what he had. So he's a kind of, egotistical, but also instinctual sort of thing, because these are things that are ingrained in you as a child, that you are above everybody in the universe, in the galaxy, and your job and mission is to go do X, Y, and Z, without me telling you too much. But when you understand all that, you understand why he does what he does. And I was personally shocked a little bit when Mark first discovered his powers, and the mom explained it to the father. She explained it to Omni-Man, like, hey, his powers came out, and he was like really? And to me, it looked like he was jealous. Like, what? He got him? And he didn't know what to do. Or at the same time, he's like, okay, he got him. Now I got to show him what to do. But I felt more jealousy than anything.
Was it?
See, I disagree with that. I think because of his character and how he talked about towards the end of the series, how his people were, back on his home planet, I think he was disappointed. He's like, it took this long for the powers to kick in.
Okay.
That's the feeling that I got from it. More of like, Jesus Christ, it took him till he hit 17. Like, what the? This took way too long, right? So for me, it was like, now I got to play catch up with this dude because I didn't show him all the stuff beforehand. His mom made him soft. That's basically how he came off. Like, I got to sit here and toughen this boy up, right? And I got to speed up my timeline of what I'm trying to do because it took him so long to get it, right? So to me, it was like he came off like, all right, I don't think the boy has it in him to begin with, and now that he has his powers, I don't think he's ever going to reach the level that I'm at. That's the feeling that I had watching him, because it didn't come off like, oh, I'm so excited for this. This is great. My son's like me. He's not like human. No, it came off like this is going to take too long. Like, I ain't got time for this. Like, that's how it came off to me. He was like, I ain't got time for this. But one thing I do want to add. Sorry. One other thing is that
teamwork.
The idea about the people on his home planet and how it was their mission to try and eliminate the weakness that was there on their planet. The way they went about it really reminds me of when you think about some of the Greek societies from back in the day, how they were really keen, especially like with Spartans, on how to really ingrain at a very young age this idea of what it means to be a fighter. What does it mean to be a protector? What does it mean to be a Spartan or a Greek, right? An Athenian. Like, this is something that was really deep ingrained in them, to be very true to that society, to their rules, their laws, and to really exude that, right? And so they were also, there's also talks about how some societies back in the day would really eliminate what they consider to be weak individuals. So you hear about eugenics, right? Everybody has heard about that, and how that was such it's a taboo thing, but that's something that this group did on their planet. They eliminated. They were like, look, if you can't keep up, you can't keep up. You don't deserve to be alive. So to me, I thought that was really interesting that they went that route. And then they're like, well, now that we've cleansed our planet, it should be okay for us to do it for others. So they were like, look, if we do it to our own people, we have no problem with doing it to others. Like, that to me was like, oh, okay, y'all serious.
KinkySudz did all the spoiling, and like, I mean, she didn't hit the spoil mark. She didn't even let me lead up to the aspect of even potentially having a spoiler.
She got right to it.
She didn't drop all the bombs. So now, since you didn't said that, we, it's no hold barred, and shout out to everybody who's watching on YouTube, Twitch, and our Facebook Live. Again, it
was trending. I'm sorry if it trends on Twitter. It's already been blown.
Replay. Leave the comments. I'm gonna drop a good question in a little bit of what I would like for the audience to answer and think about and respond later on if they don't want to do it at the moment, because it is a deep question. With now that KinkySudz has mentioned the aspect of Nolan's race, the Viltrumites practicing eugenics, as far as only Darwinism, really, like only the strong survive, and we're going to fight it out to see who's the strongest. What he was looking at with Mark is really, and again, my perspective is that he was looking at the fact of like, I've learned to care for this boy, and I am multiple hundreds, if not thousands of years old. I don't want him to show signs of power. And this is my perspective. I don't want him to show signs of power because it'll make it easier for me when I need to kill everybody. that I can let the other Viltrumites come to the earth, conquer it, and I can walk away with a clean slate. But when he got his powers and that bond that he was building with this boy, his son, then it became more so like, oh, he has power, so there's hope for me to keep him. I don't have to wait too much longer. And he does say that, oh, I was waiting for you to get your powers. But even in the season finale, it was more so of like, let me show you. In the season finale, like, we got to talk about it since we're talking spoilers. That aspect again between that father and son. This is who I really am. This is what you need to be if you're going to be Viltrumite, not just my son, but to be Viltrumite. That season finale is crazy. But to rewind back again, the conversation of Mark, getting his powers, it was like, great, okay, he has hope. I can play this off and utilize him and tell the Viltrumites that, hey, he has powers. He is a Viltrumite. I used him as a use him to spy or to infiltrate the human species, but he came out to be worth something. And then he wanted to show him during the scenes where he was training him, which I think that was one of the key aspects. Again, we're still on the good aspect of the show, is that he literally hit him like he literally hit him like somebody he was fighting
like he's on the streets,
and it was just one punch. And and Mark he was like, why would you do that to me? And he was like, son, if you want to be in my line of work, no one pulls their punches. Like, this is life or death. And Mark just really thought that because his dad was Omni-Man, that everything was like, he just ran in there and everything was great. And they did show in the show and in the season that Omni-Man wasn't just going through and just wrecking everybody and just putting everybody to sleep. It was literally some knockdown, drag out fights, like with the Guardians of the Globe, with that kaiju that just for some reason just was hitting them. And again, we can talk about that as far as equilibriums and how that comes into play. But man, all in all, this show, when you say blood splatter, which is, and I'll wait to get to the bad part on the good, bad, and the ugly. The blood splatter, definitely there, but just the straight up pummeling, head crushing. Oh man, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Great.
Yeah, so, I agree with that.
Yeah, one of the questions I do have though is, and I'm gonna jump straight into it. I'm not even gonna hold it back. The way that black bodies were killed in Invincible, did anybody notice how gruesome and gory it was? And I'll mention two scenes. One, when he was doing a recap of the Viltrumites going through who's the strongest, only the strongest survive, and then the not only that, the black fighter pilot, the family, I believe they weren't. What was it, the black family when they crashed into the building? I want to say it was where he was trying to save them, but I don't think.
Yeah,
it was.
It was a mixed family. Yeah.
The one to me is like, especially the fighter pilot. I was just like, come on,
go back further when
you go ahead.
Darkwing got demolished like that, literally.
Quick.
And he didn't pull no punches. First off, I didn't expect that scene to happen at all. They all come back there. We're like, hey, we got a call. We're here. And the next thing you know, he pops out. And who saved them? What's his name? Rex, the fast guy.
No, Red Rush.
Yes,
Red Rush.
The Russian guy. He ran over there and he pretty much saved whoever it was from the punch.
The Immortal.
He saved them from the punch. And eventually it all led up to them all fighting, and he demolished these guys. He wiped the floor with them. He he took Darkwing, grabbed him by the leg, and just tossed him around like a rag doll. And after the second smash, his head just exploded across the floor. He took War Woman, twisted her neck around like it was nothing. He just walked all over these people like they were insignificant, like he was talking to his son. These are ants. They're pests. They're nothing for me to just walk over and keep going. And the crazy part about it is when you think about it, I at first thought that he wasn't aware of what's going on, because when he eventually woke up, he was in the hospital. They made it seem as if he was being controlled, which he really wasn't. But on top of that, he told his son, we are around for thousands of years. So let's say you don't get in line. I can make another one of you. It's not going to matter. I'll make another one of you in 17 years. Here we go. I'll make another one and they'll be ready. And to think that
you're jumping all over the place. I love it. Go ahead.
I had to get to this. But to add that into how they're fighting and stuff. So now you have to understand that concept of the father's love and hate, also with the relationship of him beating up the rest of the Guardians of the Globe. And in that, in turn, is kind of giving you a foreshadowing of what's going to happen with him and his son's relationship, and why Mark needs to be pretty much ready for anything that's going to happen, because nobody's going to pull their punches on you.
Now,
I will.
Hold on, Kinky. Before you respond to that, now with Darkwing, I thought that was the quickest death out of the whole show.
I was going to say that was the one thing I was going to say. Yeah.
Rush.
Who's the green one? Who's the green?
I was going to say those two.
Man.
Yeah. See, I was going to say green Goblin or green.
Green Ghost. Green Ghost.
Yeah, Green Ghost. I call it Green Goblin. Yeah, Green Goblin. And Darkwing.
Green Ghost.
I know. Oh shit! I still call it Green Ghost. And Darkwing taken out immediately. I was like, what is this? But I think the other thing, when you're getting to your original question about black bodies, I was like, when you think about the characters or the new Guardians that were trying out, right?
Hmm.
I didn't really. They had Black Samson, who,
Yeah.
let me tell you, I was like, ooh, but how they crippled him from the beginning, how they were memeing him as a superhero, and I was just like,
no powers, no superhero, you know?
Yes.
I'm like, come on. And he was originally a part of the Guardians of the Globe, originally, until he lost his powers. So, like, to me, it was like there's little hints here and there that was just like, ooh, okay, I guess. I mean, I get they tried to say, well, look, we brought him back. He got his powers back. But it's like, dude had to nearly, have this, like, close to death experience just to get him back. So, to me, it was like, and then when he even talked about the black characters in the show, showing the crime, showing the inner city, as they like to put it, right?
Always.
The struggle bus. It's always a struggle bus. I'm like, okay. Now, the one character who didn't have superpowers, who was black, was Amber. But they had it where she was, of course, being bullied in the beginning. Fine. And she needed saving. Okay. But then it was like throughout the whole series, her character was like, what was the point? Right? Like, she was his girlfriend, but he didn't tell her who he was. And even at the end, it was like, and even when they had their falling out, of course, because you knew it was going to happen. They always do this in American cinema, right? They're always putting this like, lovers we hate, come back. It's always the same trope that comes with it. But it was like, when they did go their separate ways, it was like when the one thing I did pick up on when she said to him, it's very, very important for you to meet my mother. She didn't say my parents. She said, meet my mother.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know maybe I'm picking on things here a little bit, but I've noticed that a lot of times in cinema, in stories, they really play on this whole one parent household when it comes to black people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so where is her father? And they never mentioned it, never said anything about it. But to me, it was like they're continuing certain types of tropes with black characters. So they're killing them off quickly. They're crippling them in the sense that they're not on the same level as the other main characters. They are not giving the same family dynamic as we see with some of the other characters that we know are white. So it was like those type of things to me. I was just like, okay, all right, I see how it is. But I do think she
already.
But no, I mean, like the whole idea when you're talking about black bodies, like that to me, it came up more to me. That's like, okay, I see certain things that maybe most people probably wouldn't see it, right? But for me, I look at those type of things a little bit more because I'm like, we don't get much representation in live action or in cartoon form. And when we do, it's like, why do you have to continue to play to that same old tropes that are always played in any type of media for black people? But that's my 2 cents.
No, like I said,
but that's not even my bad. That's not even my bad.
I only threw that out there because again, when I watched that pilot on the last episode, and I was like, man, Mark, I feel you, brother. I feel you right there. I understand the pain. You just was like, really, Omni-Man, really?
He's like, I saved him, and you going. I'm like,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
But let's talk about. Before we get into like the bad and the ugly, I want to continue the good because there's a lot of good in here, and I want to just knock it down. We got to talk about the fight scenes. Like honestly, hands down, the Guardian of the Globe versus Omni-Man was not the best scene, and that's the best fight scene. It was Omni-Man kicking Mark's ass. That was the best fight scene of the entire. Well, actually, let me not say that was number one. Number two to me was my favorite villain. Battle Beast, that Battle Beast was a beast, like for real. Battle Beast was like, it was amazing. It was amazing. He was just laughing. He was toying with them, and they was getting Mark gets a lot of ass whoopings in this show, and I that's another good thing about the show that I like. He is an inexperienced 17-year-old with superpowers. Yes, you're stronger. Yes, you are stronger than every human, but there are a lot of even the humans that are villains that you're fighting, like when he went to Machine Head, and he was like, I already bought heavy hitters, like, and Battle Beast came out, and I was like, who the hell is this lion looking
white lion?
Yeah, this white lion looking
reminded me of the brewery, White Lion.
Like, Monster Girl, shout out to Monster Girl. Monster Girl's like, hitting him. He was like, pathetic.
What the hell is this?
And
you scratching me?
Damn near broke Black Samson and two if he didn't get saved. So that was it was good times. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, one thing that this show did really well, and then I'll pass it on to you again, you all to continue that. The good aspect is like the villains were. I mean, the Mauler twins that came in, they were very insignificant in the beginning, but then they became significant with Robot's character. But they were just kind of like your villain of the week that just kept coming back over and over again. Like they didn't really have a their goal or their vision wasn't. It was just like, you know, we're gonna kill the president, and then it was like, but it was no after effect. And they were utilized well because they were always around, but very intelligent. But I just think that the villains that were just kicking butt, like it was great time. The Flaxens, like, can we talk about, like, I was like, how do they keep invading and like they just keep like they just keep coming back. They keep coming back, and they were and I thought they were just annoyances, but they literally they were making the teens, you know, Adam Eve, Rexplode, which we haven't even gotten to, Duplicate. They were putting work on them because it was just wave and wave of Flaxens, and I love that aspect because it was like, damn, these beings die in our time, just kind of like I forgot that movie that Tom Cruise was in. They did a remake of it with the aliens that die because of the air or the molecules.
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds.
Yeah, War of the Worlds. But they were like time sped up in this and the Invincible timeline, so they were just dying fast, and it was like, this is great. They were just coming all the time. I was like, what the hell are they doing? Like coming through the portal, and I'm like, just stop it. Like, can we move on? Like I was like, can we move on? But I love the fact that they were like, we're just trying to take over another world. At least they had a mission. But
yeah, they did.
KinkySudz, I'm gonna lead it to you with another good, and then we're gonna go over to the bad because I know we're getting close to KinkySudz leaving us today, but that's all right. Ren and I will.
Let me tell you, when it came to the good, I thought the twins were hilarious, by the way, because, like you said, they had one thing in mind, but I like the conversations that they were having with themselves, right? Mm-hmm. The whole idea that you're able to like kind of share or copy your mind to another being, and you have no idea who is the original and who's the copy type of a thing. I thought was great because in all essence, I'm like, I think the original was gone a long time ago because when you were watching this over and over again, right? Mm-hmm. So like, they were always like, well, hey, you know, I can eliminate you because you're just a clone. And you're like, dude, you know, you're a clone of a clone. You're a clone of a clone of a clone. Like, we don't know how many iterations of that you are, right? So I thought that part was pretty interesting. I do think that like you said, the fight scenes were great. And the fact that they had so many of them to keep your interest, I thought was really interesting. Like the fight styles, where they were fighting, who was kind of pushing, you know, as we like to say, Invincible to his max about, you know, what he was able to do. I thought that part was pretty cool. And I think that the fact that they tried to, you know, you had the Guardians of the Globe who were eliminated very quickly. I was quite shocked by that, but they got eliminated so quickly that you now have this new crop that's trying to come in, but they're nowhere near being ready, right? But they're trying. I like the fact that they were trying to do it, that they didn't back down from the fight. They knew they were inexperienced, but they tried, right? So I think that in that aspect, I thought that was pretty cool, how they tried to bring in new people. But it seemed as though when it comes to, you know, who the Guardians of the Globe are, that they're coming from the same spot every single time. That's what it seemed like. But it wasn't where it was like, well, let's get Guardians from all around the world, right? There was like some hint that there were some other like groups that were there to protect, but it really seemed to focus just on this one city that they were focused on for the series. But I mean, again, it was just good. I just thought you had so many characters who had so many different types of talents, so many different types of super abilities. I just thought it was really interesting that you could have that, but I'm gonna pass it on to Ren because a part of me wants to talk about some of the bad. We'll you talked about it a little bit, but I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off on that.
We got KinkySudz who's gonna get off and you know, continue her reign at a different location. But Ren, let's get to your good, and then we got to jump into the bad for KinkySudz before she hop up out of here. Go ahead, Ren.
The good again is that storyline. I'm talking about just Invincible himself. Like, I have some negative aspects which I'll talk on once we get into the bad, but the storyline is good. I actually digged Amber's character. I know KinkySudz was like, she thought she was like, what's her point? But I actually digged her a little bit. More of an keeping Invincible kind of grounded to his teenage sort of self, because when he dealt with everybody else in the world, he was more of, I'm trying to be the superhero, etc. But dealing with Amber, it kept him grounded, as well as the best friend William and stuff. So I you know, there's a ton of good I can go on about, but I'm gonna keep it real short and simple with that one. While you doing your sexy pour.
That's right, man.
Did you see him? Did you see? He had all up in the camera, like, look at that.
You know, that dark L life, you got to make it happen. All right. My camera did like a slow motion. That's fire. So again, the show it's just great. It's good. It's like if it didn't, well, not even if your kids are watching South Park, then this show is really a show that they can watch. And I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, it's nowhere near the the vulgarity that you get from a South Park, but I love the concept of like this kid, you know, Mark, who just really was like, man, like, what the hell? Like, Dad, like, I really thought that, you know, I wanted to do this, and like, you are not who I thought you were. But let's jump. KinkySudz, you got like 4 minutes. Go ahead and jump into the bad. Drop that bad on him. Like, tell him what you don't like about Invincible, and then we'll get to the ugly when you're gone.
I know, Ren, that he was your favorite character. I know he was. I'm sorry. But this cat got on my nerves. I'm sorry. Like, for me, the thing that always irritates me when they do these type of characters who come to age, who come into their powers, they always have this, like, I don't know what I can do. I'm like, you know, if you wake up with superpowers one day, right, and you start seeing that you can fly, you can punch through walls, you can lift buildings, stop planes, like, you're going to try and push yourself to the max to see what you can do, right? Like, I feel like a good majority of people would try to do that, right? And seeing what your father can do, you should say, okay, that's my basis of like what my limits can be, right? So, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, watching him over the course of this series, where he kept going back and forth on what he can do, and he really wasn't listening, right? He wasn't listening to like what he could do, right? His father was trying to teach him stuff, and he was like, I know what I could do, Dad. He's like, he wasn't taking in what he was trying to tell him, right? Because he was so focused on, you know, I know what I'm doing. I'm my own man. Oh, hey, there's this girl who's really interested in me, right? Like that type of thing. The other thing that really stuck out to me about Amber's character, and I know, Ren, you thought that she was a great character, and I know I'm dropping on it, but the part where her that got me was towards the end. And I mean, we've already dropped some of the major bombs already.
You dropped all the spoilers, so just go ahead. Keep it going.
I mean, I know I'm bad with this. I really want
you went in. I'm like, she just completely went. She was in the stratosphere. Like, it's gone.
I'm gone. Like, people, it was trending. But I think the thing for me with her was when he kept trying. Like, this is the thing. He was trying to maintain as much of a life as he could, while also stepping up and being a superhero that he could be. And he took the advice of his friend Adam Eve that, hey, you shouldn't tell her about your secret identity, because once you do, that's it. Like, you got to really trust this person.
Facts.
And the thing is that she knew, like, she had put 2 and 2 together, and like, you still gave him crap. Like, you still gave him a hard time. You still got mad at him, and it's like, but you knew who he was. You knew. It's like, right? Like, even when he was like in the thick of it, he was still thinking of you. He was still trying to get back to you. And like, boy failed, true. But he's not used to being able to do what his father can do. Like, he's learning how to get into his powers. He's learning what he can do. He doesn't know how to land properly, right? But it's like these type of things, like, the dude was trying. Like, I could see if he wasn't, but he was trying. And she still gave him such a hard time about it. So to me, I was like, I didn't like that part of it. I thought that was just, it just felt like, regardless, no matter what the boy did, in his girlfriend's eyes and his father's eyes, he was never seen as enough, like, ever. Ever. Like, he just was not seen to be good enough. But I think also too, just the idea that we didn't get a chance to see the Guardians of the Globe in their full force. Like we get a little bit, but we don't really see how they were really like why they became Guardians of the Globe. That show why they were top notch. The only time we got to see them fight was when they went against Omni-Man, who I mean, how are you supposed to fight? Like, how are you supposed to defeat him, right?
That was a good fight, though. That was a good fight.
It was a good fight.
You got to put some respect on War Woman and
I'll give her that.
You got to put some respect on their name
but
and Red Rush.
Because Red Rush didn't do it right, dude. You do not punch the chest. Yeah, no. You go for eyes.
If Red Rush would have stopped being predictable with the speed and really talked to the team, they could have did something. But I love the fact how Red Rush really was in there trying to save everybody. Like, because without Red Rush, everybody would have died a long time ago in the show.
You should have gone for eyes. Yeah. I'm sorry. You don't punch for chest. You don't have power. You don't have strength.
He broke his arms. He got some red marks in there. But
nah, that don't mean nothing.
KinkySudz, I think it's that time.
I know it's about that time. But overall, I will say I thought the show was great. I'm looking forward to season 2. Really.
Season
2? But the one thing I will end on is the one guy with the one eye who came to test the protection of the Earth. I thought he was hilarious. I thought that whole conversation was hilarious as hell.
Yeah.
And how he got Earth confused with another planet. I was sitting there cracking up way too hard at that. But I think overall it was a great show. I definitely would say to watch it if you haven't watched it. And for the people who have watched it, I'm really curious to see what you guys got to say. But I got to go. Thanks for having me. And I will see you guys next week.
Yeah.
All right, KinkySudz. We out. All right. Have a good one. Excuse me. Ren, talk to me, man, about the bad. We got to talk about the bad.
Okay, here's my bad. And I'm going to kind of blend that in with the ugly. My bad is, all right, through the whole thing, he got his ass whooped. Like over and over and over and over again.
Beat down city, baby. Beat down city.
Every time. It didn't matter who he fought. He lost. Even the little stupid robot that student was programming, that he was, he was an engineer and making people be their best form and all that. He's making these little robots and then he's getting beat by robots.
Robots.
Yeah, like that. The robot was cool, right? But think about this aspect. When he was getting injured, the first time he fought and he got beat and he almost died. I can't remember what the first fight was when he almost died. When he fought against the war machine.
That'll be some machine head and all the bodyguards for hire.
Yes. So when he's now in the what do they call it? The GDA or something? Whatever that company was, which is kind of like the CIA or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Shield. They're kind of like Shield. So they have him in there and they're like analyzing his blood and like he just can't die. His blood is this strong. So if you relate that and you say, wait a minute, if his blood's this strong and you see the possibilities, you see the potential and the limitations of his father, why does he not have that? That didn't make sense to me. Now, again, I understand that he was a teenager. He was going to be learning some things. He was going to go through some trials and tribulations. But every time you fight, you getting your ass whooped. It just didn't add up to me. Like every time he fought, he lost. If he didn't get help by somebody else, it was a straight up wash. And I didn't like that at all.
He was getting washed pretty bad, Ren.
Yeah.
It was bad, bro.
Yeah.
Even before Omni-Man, but the Omni-Man fight was crazy. My last good thing before I jump into the bad, 2 things. Again, I keep saying the Omni-Man fight with Mark, hands down, it was really Omni-Man. But Cecil in the White Room, like that to me was like some conspiracy theory, gone real type of shit where literally he was like, it's just a blank room. And he was like, lights. And then they showed everything. He was like, because we put stuff in your water that your eyes can't see this particular light.
Yeah.
We do it for everyone around the world. Like that was crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
But the bad, I'm gonna be honest, man. The bad, I got tired of everybody getting hurt and then healing. Like, I mean, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. Don't get me wrong, but like, I was like, seriously, like you get ripped. Like you talking about arms and necks and all this stuff is like, Black Samson literally got killed.
Yeah, pretty much he did.
Yeah, he pretty much got killed, and then he comes back. I'm glad he got his power. Shout out to Black Samson and getting your powers back. But it was just, to me, I was like, that was the bad part of it. Like, no, it was no outside of the Guardians of the Globe. It was no more like death in the sense of like when you fight, your life is on the line because yeah, they got beaten to a pulp, but then they got healed. And like, and the healing may have took 2 weeks, 2 weeks for Mark, maybe longer for Black Samson, but everybody just came back. And I was like, there was just no, it was no risk.
Like no ending or finite. Exactly. Absolute, pretty much.
There was no absolute. And that was one of the things that I was like, I want some more absolutes. I want some more, like, I want what Omni-Man did to Mark on with the subway. I'm assuming with the Amtrak train or a tram or the subway train. Like, I want that. That was absolute. Like, that was
crazy.
Like, this man said they're ants and like literally just shoving on his face and killing everybody. Like, that was what I was talking about. I'm like, yes, they're absolute. They are dead. They ain't coming back.
Yeah,
ain't no wishes, ain't no superpower bringing him back to life. They are dead, and you didn't stop it, Mark. You didn't stop it. So I love that. But I mean,
and he made him watch it too while doing all that.
He made him watch. He made him the reason why they are dead. Like, that is facts. I was like, he killing the game right now. Like, for real.
Yeah.
It was just that's what I like about Invincibles is that, I mean, the bad aspect is the not having absolutes, but when they did do it for mortal people, it was great. But like even Black Samson, who lost his powers, I mean, there were so many, like Monster Girl, like she got wrecked. She should have been dead. And she came back to life, but shout out to Robot for saving her on that. But like at least she was going to die unless Robot found what he needed to find because her powers are on the curse. Shout out to Monster Girl for real. But yeah, man, let's go into the ugly, man. Let's talk about the ugly. Like I got my ugly pick, and then we can jump into some thoughts for season 2. But go ahead with
Surprisingly, I don't have any ugly.
What?
I really don't. Because, and I'm gonna tell you why. Like me just looking at it again, watching Invincible get his butt kicked over and over and over. I didn't have any more like real bad critiques on stuff. Like there's certain things that were unnecessary. For example, okay, here's a legit ugly. They kind of pushed the relationship and made a whole little side scene with William, which was Mark's best friend, and them going to the college and all that stuff. And then, you know, them having a scene in the sewers fighting those little robots, people that were engineered, which in turn led to them being helped later on because they was fighting Omni-Man. But the point is, it was an unnecessary scene. And even the relationship that William had with the guy that he was in love with, I feel like it was just unnecessary. That was my explanation of ugly. I didn't have anything like too deep because it was very simple for me. My bad. That's my phone right here. My timer was going off.
No,
anyway, I thought it was, you know, pretty simplistic, but it wasn't as bad as the Yasuke ugly. I didn't pick it up.
Man. Oh yeah,
I didn't go that deep.
Let's stay focused on the Invincible, man. But no, the ugly for me was Amber, and I mean, I'm just like it was just unnecessary. I love how Eve was like, okay, I want to save, and that was one thing I should have said about good too. Is I love the fact how Eve was like, all right, I want to do good, and she literally went out. Eve's power, literally, you can take molecules and create anything. And she really went out and started planning stuff for people. Like she really was doing the stuff that was under the radar. What Eve was doing is what Peace Corps does. Like literally the stuff you don't see that don't hit the mainstream media and all that. Like that's what Eve was doing. I love that. But Amber, to me, what really pissed me off with Amber is when DA, forgot his last name, the guy who took the tech and really brought really was just drilling into people's body and just making them robots. Like I was really like, this man really risked his life about to die trying to save everybody. And you're like, where were you? You already knew that he was invincible at that time.
Right.
And you still are like, you know, cool. And then you try to do the get back aspect, which was cool, but I just didn't like that part. And I understand the teenager life and a lot of emotions and not knowing how to process them at that age. But I'm just like, I really disliked how that just played out. It was just like, it was unnecessary. It was a part of the world building that was just not necessary. And literally, if Amber wasn't even in the college scene or she didn't have that conversation, like her character would be null and void. Like facts, it would just be, it would literally be Mark and Eve's type of love history. So that was my ugly, man. Like I really was just like, they need to do better. You know what I mean? And another good thing, because I got to keep dropping these good things. And I got to work on doing the timestamps in the video and getting certain parts so people can watch this on the replay. Another good thing to me, man, I love Rexplode. I love the fact that he was just a straight asshole. And like his shower scene with
you just took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, with Duplicate, and like how he really tried to be like, no, this isn't what it looks like, and it's like three more Kates come out the shower, and I'm just like, Rexplode is literally that asshole, like for real.
Yeah.
And I mean, but it was good because he never changed, even after he got whooped by by Monster Girl and everything. Like he still was the asshole. You know what I mean? And like that was great. Need more of that. Like he wasn't even like he wasn't the comic relief. He was just like, no, I'm just who I am, and I don't really care. He was an amalgamation of Gambit and Cyclops. I mean,
yes.
I'm trying. No, it had to be Gambit because he everything.
I'm going with Gambit.
Yeah, everything he touched was energy, but he just had his gear, what he had on. I thought he was going to just start shooting concussion blasts out of his eyes or something. Like, he was like his costume was set up of a mixture of Cyclops, but he had the powers of Gambit. So yeah, man, I
appreciated him too because he was very simplistic in a human sense. Like, you know, when first off, I didn't fully understand why they brought him to the Guardians of the Globe headquarters. Like they could have left them in their own little space, the team space, whatever. So they brought him there, and you still had the blood left over from all the Guardians of the Globe that died. But he was like so much of a human and a teen at the same time that he decided to put beer in the little thing that we don't know what was in there prior. I thought that was funny as hell.
Milk. It was supposed to be milk.
Yeah. No, but I don't know what was in there before, because before it was milk, remember, it was something else in there. That little thing that came out of the ground, the little machine, that must have stored something else. He put beer in there, and then they put milk cartons, and then he put the beer in the milk. That was dope. But I like to say that he was a very integral part of the story because he kind of kept people tied together, and that was the breaking point for the team, for them to all be on the same page. You remember that at the end with Black Samson and him, because them two kind of had a very bad relationship with each other. But at the end, when he was like, no, I'm going to clean this up, and then he tested them, and they all was like, all right, we got your back. That right there, that was dope. I really appreciated that part.
And that was a humbling moment, because at the end of the day, their powers are not that significant compared to Invincible and Omni-Man and the Immortal, and even a lot of the Guardians of the Globe in the beginning, like
even Titan.
Yeah,
you remember Titan, who ended up being
Titan was fired. Yeah, Titan was fired because I love the way he just played on Mark's the emotions to do right.
And
but at the same time, it was all about him to be the boss. You know what I mean? To take over Underworld, and I think that season 2 is setting up to be real nice already for that to happen. So I can't wait for that to show a little bit more. And I don't know if Titan's character is going to be very significant throughout the story.
He will, because that's why they left it the way they did. I think he'll be a very integral part of this next season. Not like big as the Flaxons or as big as what happens with Omni-Man, but I think it's going to be a big story, and even anybody else, because remember at the end of the credits, and you kind of see, I still can't remember his name, the guy with the one eye. You see that conversation.
Alan the alien.
Yeah. So, you know, I think he'll be an integral part of this story based upon how it ended and him talking about what he was doing. He was manipulating him the whole time. So I'll add him in there for sure.
Man, hey, again, Invincibles is a great show. Love how it's going. It is. I mean, if you've read or watched any comic book or any movie that deals with comic books, like, it's easy to digest. It is. I love the gore. It's really not like I got superpowers and now I just become overpowered. OP. I said OP for opening, but OP is for overpowered. And just go crazy. Literally, like, no, like, you are still a newbie at this. You got a lot of emotion. and your emotion is going to get your ass whooped, which it did over and over and over and over again. And you got to learn how to put yourself in a perspective of like, these bad guys are not here to play around. They're here to kill you. And I love that fact because a lot of times in DC, Marvel, not as much, but DC especially, it's like, yeah, like they could kill you, but you always find a way. Like Invincible is like, nah. Like you don't fight, you dying. And like, I just wish that they would actually die. Like that's exactly. I mean, it's horrible to say, but it's facts. So like, I wish they would be like, yo, really got you dead. Like you didn't.
Yeah, because I think that could have pushed Invincible to go a step further if Monster Girl would have passed away or Black Samson. Exactly. I think that would have pushed him above his edge because he was always kind of ceiling. Yeah. Just, knowing that he would heal and everybody else would come back and stuff. And he almost died more than once because he got his ass whooped every time we turn around. But it was an excellent show. I can't really take much from it. I got things I can pinpoint that's wrong. But altogether, I truly enjoyed the show. I think that if you have not watched it, watch it. Like you said, it's easily digestible. It's one of those graphic novel animated series that if you are into that sort of stuff, matter of fact, you don't even have to be into it. It's for everybody, period. I thought it was a good show. Go watch it. And it's a binge show. You're going to be able to watch it and just keep watching it because it's that good. Each episode makes you come back for more. That's how I felt about it.
That's a fact. Hey, this has been another episode of Black Nerd Fridays. Shout out to Mr. Refine himself, Black Bearded Nerd, Mr. Ren. Shout out to KinkySudz, Ms. Denise. Like, I'm your host, D. Neal. I can't wait till next Friday. It's going down, Jupiter's Legacy. And this is and Jupiter's Legacy is going to be a whole, it's like a continuation of this, like what you thought your father was, expectations, what you think reality is versus what it really truly is. And like, just can't wait to talk about that because a lot of people going for Jupiter's Legacy, like it's a CW of superheroes. I said like WB, but now it's not CW. But I can't wait to talk about that as well. So it's been a pleasure, and we'll catch you all on the next episode of Black Nerd Fridays. Going down. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, tell a friend. Like, we are talking about real stuff, nerdy stuff, societal things. We're just having a good ass time, and we drinking craft beer on top of that. Like, you got to do it. Catch you on the next episode. Cheers.
Peace, y'all. Cheers.